Let's watch this one first. So, things I hate about MMORPGs. Let's see if it's the same things.
At times be really fun games. MMORPGs can at times be really fun games, banding together with large groups of players doing epic stuff like fighting dragons, sieging cities, and hunting down legendary loot to spike your dopamine. However, as someone that's been covering MMOs on YouTube for the past 8 years, I've realised that a lot of them have similar problems. Oftentimes when I'm doing my first impression pros and cons list, a lot of the cons for one MMO could be directly applied to another MMO, and it's made me realise that there's certain things MMOs do that really piss me off. So today I'm going to have a bit of a rant about all of the things that I hate about MMORPGs. But first, today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is a completely free mobile RPG with over 80 million global players worldwide. The game features top-notch graphics and offers both casual and competitive gaming, where players can collect over 700 unique champions, customize them, fight in-game bosses, or compete in real-time battles in the arena. Raid is now increasing it, and on top of that, if you log into Raid on 7 different days between August 22nd and October 23rd, you will also get the legendary champion Sun Wukong for free. Click the link in the description below to download Raid Shadow Legends now. Inventory management and tedious looting. One thing that makes me want to instantly quit an MMO is if it becomes quickly obvious that I'll need to spend a significant amount of time sorting through my inventory, whether it be from straight up running out of space after a few minutes of killing mobs, or the game just bombarding me with useless items to fill up my bags that don't really need to exist. Some games do this to sell you more inventory space, others do it because the devs don't play their own game enough to realise it's an issue.
And to be honest, WoW is kinda like that now. So much shit you have in your inventory, it's crazy.
I've played some MMOs where you're also expected to loot every item from each individual mob kill, and I just end up asking myself why. Are the profits generated from selling inventory space and pets worth the game being so significantly worse with such design? I'm honestly not sure. Black Desert Online is an example of an MMO where you get so many random event items and useless outgated gear drop that it makes you want to uninstall. Lost Ark is another one. Even with the loot filter, your bags are rammed after 2 chaos dungeons, then you've got to spend time deciding if what's drop is worth selling or not, alongside having to constantly have like 2 rows of your inventory constantly filled with battle items.
The thing is, this guy has so much experience with MMOs, he knows what he's talking about.
Before adding an item to the game, I wish devs would ask themselves the following questions. 1. Does this item really need to exist? 2. Could this item be stored in its own separate inventory that the player doesn't need to deal with? And 3. Does adding this item take the player out of the gameplay to make a decision as to whether or not the item is useless and needs to be destroyed? Personally, I hate having to squint my eyes reading and spending time trying to figure out if the stuff in my inventory is useful. This is made easier though when games display an estimated value for the item right from the inventory, or do some kind of UI pop-up alerting me that I've received a rare drop that I should care about. Looting should be a dopamine spike and an exciting moment in an MMO.
When he says that, think of classic WoW. Every time you get an item that's an upgrade, you are so happy, bro. You are so happy. That's what he's talking about.
So games that fuck this up are clearly doing something wrong. Having to dig through external sources to search for a build. Let's be honest, almost every MMO nowadays requires that you go to an external website to search for a viable build for your class, and MMOs are so imbalanced that not playing a viable build will either get you kicked from groups, not invited, or struggle to clear content. For me, I just want to get into the action as quickly as possible, so if I need to spend a lot of time digging through builds on Google, reading pages upon pages of information, then spend a lot of time in-game actually implementing said
There's
build
such
through
a
the
chore.
UI or buying 30 different components off the auction house, by the time I'm ready to actually play the game, I'm already annoyed.
Yes.
Why don't more MMOs just do us a favour and implement community-voted builds right into the UI, similar to what Dota 2 does? Theory crafters could receive rewards for getting a certain amount of upvotes, builds would be more up to date, and Fextra Life's legal view botting would be less effective. Daily chores and time gates. A mistake we've seen quite a few MMO devs make over the years is implementing daily systems combined with time gates that make players feel like they need to work through a list of chores every day before getting to the content that they actually want to do. I can understand why devs think this way, as you want to retain players and give them a reason to log in every day, but from the players'
It's because they are forced. They are forced by their bosses, by the corporations, to keep players in the game, but they do it artificially, and it's not something that will work for a long period of time. It's a shit way of thinking when it comes to like keeping your players playing the game, because if you make a great game, people are just gonna play the game. You don't need to build to make all these fucking sheets like time gating everything and stuff like that to keep players playing. You don't need to do that.
Point of view, it makes them burn out of the game way quicker than just having more flexibility. What usually happens is players will do the chores for a few weeks, then they'll miss a day, then another, and eventually ask themselves, if I'm spending half of my playtime doing chores that I don't really find fun, then why am I playing in the first place? Then they quit. This has happened to me with a few MMOs in the past. The first one that comes to mind was Arcade Unchained when it first released. The entire endgame progression system was tied to dailies and weeklies that rewarded you with scrolls to upgrade your gear. I did it for a few weeks and very quickly it made me sick of the game despite actually having fun with other content outside of that. Another MMO that made me burn out quite fast with its dailies at release was Lost Ark. I think I kept up with the daily weekly grind for 2 months, then I took a week off and felt a massive weight off.
For 2 months, bro. I played the game. I hit max level. I didn't like the PvP that much. The PvE was alright, but it was kind of pay to win. I played it for like 1 month, I think, and then I quit. Never came back.
Off my shoulders. I think most of us have enough daily chores to deal with in the real world, so adding to that list of chores as a game, which is supposed to be an escape from reality, is pretty much always a bad idea. Remember the days when making gold in an MMO was actually something you'd need to think about? The feeling of getting a rare drop and being excited because of how valuable it was? Leveling up your crafting and gathering so you could make money consistently?
Look at his haircut here. I used to have that haircut in 6th grade. I was an emo.
And you'd get little dopamine spikes whenever you saw a rare gatherable resource out in the world. For many MMOs nowadays, this is a thing of the past because they straight up sell you in-game currency on the cash shop. You've got RuneScape's bonds, the WoW token, Lost Ark's gem to gold conversion, Albion Online's gold to silver conversion, BDO allows you to sell cash shop outfits for raw silver, and the list goes on. Some MMOs claim that providing these services combats real-world trading, but in reality, does it really? For me, if I see that an MMO is willing to undermine the integrity of their game, then I'd be more likely to engage in RMT, as I'd probably be getting way better value from the gold sellers anyway. You could argue that gold selling has always been a thing in MMOs, so why shouldn't devs provide this service themselves? The difference is that for most MMOs, RMT is against the terms of service, so you're basically putting your account at risk. For me, this is enough of a deterrent, so long as it's actually enforced by the devs. But now that most MMOs sell it...
To be honest, I agree with him, even though I've never farmed in a game. The only time that I farmed was in Classic WoW. not vanilla, but the new classic WoW. I played the priest, and I remember I had a farm. I had only one farm with the priest. I go in a dungeon. I don't even remember. I think it was Dire Maul. Yeah, it was Dire Maul. And I had to kill like a couple of spores or mushrooms or some plant things, something like that. And it was pretty nice gold, but it gets boring so fast. I don't like farming. But I agree with him. Gold has to have a value, bro, because in all of these MMOs right now, gold doesn't have any value. Like in WoW, you can just buy the token, and you have 400k gold now. The token is 400k gold, guys. Is that not insane? I think it is.
In-game gold is basically put a real-life dollar amount on every activity and item in the game. If you earn more than minimum wage, are you really going to spend 6 hours gathering and crafting to make $2 per hour worth?
Am I gonna work my 9 to 5 just to buy tokens in World of Warcraft or other MMOs? Some people do, which is very bad actually, if you think about it, because you work all day, right? You come home, you want to play a game. Now you have to, I mean, you don't have to, but it makes your life easier, so that's why you buy it. So now I have to spend my money that I've been working like very hard for it on a game that's supposed to get me relaxed. Nah, that's shit, bro. We don't want that anymore. This is the number one thing that has to change, in my opinion.
Of gold when you could just do an hour of overtime and buy your gold instead. Not only does having a dollar amount tied to everything you do in game take away from the escapism of an MMO, but it also makes vast amounts of the game's content feel completely pointless, and this feeling only gets worse with the more money that you make IRL. If I was broke, I'd probably still want to earn all of my money legitimately because I'd have no other choice. I'd get to fully enjoy the economy side of a game, but if I'm earning 6 figures, then that side of the game basically doesn't exist if an MMO allows me to buy gold from the cash shop or doesn't punish RMT. So how do you actually fix this? There's 2 ways. Number 1, not selling gold on your cash shop, and ban players either permanently or for 6 months who buy gold from RMT websites. Most players won't want to risk losing an account with...
Well. JDKP boosts. I mean, boosts were there from the beginning, right? People make gold, they sell it for money in real life. I don't know if I never bought gold with money, never. But I don't know if I disagree. I mean, if you play the game for 12 hours just to make some gold to sell it, to make like, I don't know, 100 euros a day, in some countries that's like great money, bro. That's very good money. And maybe it can help some people, but when you put a thing like a token in the shop just to make more money, so people feel like they have to buy it because we are humans, we want to make things easier for us. That's why we are building AIs, we are building robots, right? We are building some shits like this. We want to make things easier for us. If I can pay $10 and I have it, why should I spend 4 hours to do that thing if I can just spend $10, right? It's pointless.
Thousands of hours of time investment. Number 2, straight up disable player-to-player trading and have an auction house with price limits like Black Desert Online. Basically implement BDO's trading system without allowing people to sell cash shop items for silver. Of course, doing this would probably be against the developer's best interest as they directly profit from selling gold. It also doesn't help that it's somehow become quite normalized for MMO devs to sell gold nowadays, so I can't see this issue ever going away.
How it can go away? There has to be the next big MMO So yeah, let's not think wow killer, because that's not how everyone should think. Because if you think like that, you will fail. You don't have to be a wow killer, you just have to be yourself a good MMO, right? So let's say Riot MMO, yeah, it's coming in like 4 or 5 years, we don't know, maybe. If that game doesn't sell like a token in the shop, and it gets very big as an MMO, then we can talk about not having things like that in MMOs. But for now, yeah, it's hard, because World of Warcraft is still the number one MMO right now, and they have it. Lost Ark is a big MMO, they have it. Black Desert is a big MMO, they have it, and they have so more, even more than that, same as Lost Ark. So yeah, it's tough. It's gonna be tough to change from this gold buying, let's say.
Multiple gear sets. This point kinda ties into my previous points about hating having my time wasted dealing and sorting through items and builds, but some MMOs require that you have multiple gear sets with different stats on them. New Worlds used to be really bad for this, but recently implemented a nice gear set storage system to fix the issue, and World of Warcraft also used to have this issue quite some time ago if you played a hybrid class like Druid, but later made it so changing spec changes your primary stats, which helped fix the issue to some extent.
That helped a lot.
If you're
actually.
an MMO that's designed with tons of different stats and multiple gear sets, you need to have some kind of system that makes storing, organising and switching between gear sets and builds as painless as possible. Because if this is ignored, it just takes the player out of the gameplay and has them dealing with tedious UI bullshit, as well as overwhelming them whenever they return to the game after a break.
Basically, just waste your time.
Quantity over quality questing. Now this is something that almost every MMORPG except for a select few have issues with. The games that do questing well, in my opinion, are RuneScape, Guild Wars 2,
Never played
and
it.
nowadays New World has pretty good questing. I like MMOs that have quests that take you on an adventure, multiple steps, puzzles.
Dragonflight questing is also good. They did a great job actually. I did the campaign I think 3 or 4 times. I liked it every time. So yeah, Dragonflight, props to you. Blizzard did good when it comes to questing in Dragonflight. They really did. And they usually do, let's be honest, they usually do.
Exploration, sometimes with their own self-contained story. What I don't like is going to a quest hub, instantly having my quest log filled with 10 quests. Half of those quests are completed just by talking to an NPC, and the others are either one-step kill and collect or escort. Sometimes less is more. It'd be better to have 10 quests that are memorable, rewarding and fulfilling, than 100 quests that are completely forgettable.
He's right, but I still want to quest more than just grind. Like Black Desert, let's say, or like, I don't know, these other MMOs. Like here in the East Europe, we play a lot of Metin 2, let's say. It's a grind quest. It's a grind fest, not a grind quest, it's a grind fest. So yeah, I like quests more than I like to have some quests, even if they are meaningless, than just to grind mobs. I don't know, it's just me.
Types of quests that I specifically hate are Talk to Me quests, Escort an NPC who's moving slower than your character's run speed quests, quests where you spend more time running back and forth to hand in the quest than engaging in combat gameplay, like 90% of the questing in Final Fantasy XIV, and quests that have you standing around for ages waiting for NPCs to talk to each other like in Guild Wars 2. This part was quite a subjective point, but I'm definitely more of a gameplay above all else kinda MMO player. If an MMO has good fundamental gameplay, I don't want to spend too much time reading, waiting around, or pretending to care about the story. I want to be doing the fun stuff, killing monsters, fighting bosses, chasing loot, and working towards completionist rewards. I actually love MMOs where I'm able to watch a stream on the other monitor and still progress. If I have to pay attention to some fully voice acted NPCs NPCs yapping to each other for 10 minutes about the nuances of the current political climate our faction is dealing with, then I start to get annoyed and will say things like, I wish these NPCs would shut the fuck up so I can play the game. Again, probably an unpopular opinion, but I wanted to get it off my chest. Add-on requirements.
Oh my god.
Personally, I really dislike MMOs that allow for community.
Oh my god, please get all the add-ons out of the MMOs, please. I don't want weak auras and big wigs and big figs, big digs. Please, all the MMOs, all the add-ons, get them out of WoW. Leave only the interface or UI add-ons. That's it. Everything else, out, please.
Add-ons. Why? Because in reality, certain add-ons end up being a requirement to participate in content, and in some ways actually take away from the intended gameplay of an MMO. World of Warcraft is a prime example of this.
Yes.
You're basically required to have multiple boss mod add-ons to raid, and they basically just tell you what to do. Every time you come back to the game, you need to update all of your add-ons. You've got massive pop-ups whenever you log in.
That's like if you let's say you want to take a break from WoW, yeah, for 1 month, and you come back and let's say you restarted everything on your computer, like you deleted everything. I mean, this doesn't happen, but let's say you did that. So you don't have any add-ons anymore. And you are thinking, oh my god, I want to play WoW so bad. But then you remember that you have to install like 20,000 add-ons just to play PvE. And to play with PvP, it's even more. And yeah, you don't want to come back anymore, which is very, very sad, bro, that it's in this state.
If the game has an issue that's worthy of critique, you'll get people dismiss your critique because the issue can be solved with an add-on. It's just a mess. Also, imagine you're trying to get your friend into an MMO for the first time and you start explaining add-on requirements.
Oh my god.
It doesn't exactly sound good.
Some of my friends didn't want to play just because they had so many spells to press and they didn't know what other keybinds to bind. Imagine when I told them about all the add-ons they should have. Whew. It's tough.
Good when you tell them, hey bro, so first you need to install this list of 10 add-ons from a download client which you'll need to create an account for and log into. Keep these add-ons up to date, and also once the add-ons are installed you'll need to customize them with some specific settings. If an MMO genuinely does need add-ons to be playable, then I think it's a sign that the UI designers have more work to do, not something that should be solved by the community with add-ons.
And not only the UI, because in WoW they make the fights and the raids with add-ons in mind, which is crazy for me. Like they think, oh my god, this boss we have to take in consideration that there's weak auras and shit like that. Bro, please just get the fucking add-ons out and just make good gameplay. That's it.
Alt-unfriendly MMOs. There's not a whole lot to say about this point other
well, WoW is good right now with alt-friendly. Yeah, I think so. But in the past, like 2 expansions ago, it was crazy.
Then I really appreciate MMOs that are alt-friendly. I think having the ability to play multiple classes extends the longevity of an MMO, gives players more content and allows for more varied gameplay. I dislike MMOs that are designed in a way where you feel stuck playing one class and spec. Usually this is down to some kind of time gate being tied to progression.
I think New World was great at this. I remember we were in a dungeon and there was like a boss. It was like 2 years ago, so I don't remember correctly. So we had a boss to kill. We couldn't kill it because our healer was not doing as much heal as he should. So I had the healing staff in my inventory and I just equip it and I just had to pop some healing spells from now and then. And when I did that, I felt like, wow, this is so good. I can actually help healing and do damage at the same time, and I don't even need a respec or something. I just need to equip a staff. That was actually crazy.
I remember disliking World of Warcraft Legion at the launch of that expansion for this exact
Legion
reason.
Was so
Thankfully these
old.
days WoW is much more alt friendly. Non-account wide completionism. This kind of ties into my previous point about alt friendliness, but I hate MMOs that have completionism systems that you're happy to do once, which don't carry over to alt characters. Things like map completion, hidden item collection, achievements,
hunter pets,
and so on.
Please.
Imagine if Lost Ark didn't have account-wide progress. You're able to collect all of the Makoko seeds on each character. If you re-roll, you need to get all of the island souls again. You lose all of the horizontal progression skill points. You lose all of your card collection progress. The game would feel awful. For the most part, I think if something can be account-wide, then it probably should be. Autoplay, AFK gameplay. Thankfully most PC MMOs aren't designed this way, however there's a few Korean MMOs that are quite heavy on the AFK autoplay gameplay. Black Desert Online is an MMO where you certainly benefit massively from leaving it open 24/7, and I really don't like it. The main reason to AFK in BDO is that closing the game causes your workers to stop working. You can also AFK fish and process for hours at a time too, allowing you to make way more money long term than someone who actually closes the game. Throne and Liberty is another MMO that was supposed to release this year, which was pretty much completely designed around autoplay. Thankfully the devs seem to be changing the game quite a bit, and the recent updates to the combat are somewhat promising. The reason I hate autoplay gameplay is that just having it in the game makes it a requirement to keep up with the gear curve. Additionally, if the game has an extremely high gear ceiling and the majority of progression is designed around AFK, then how is a player who starts playing 6 months post-launch ever supposed to catch up with someone who's been AFK from day one? I think AFK gameplay adds nothing to the game, and only serves as a system in which devs can use to pad player retention stats, or add things to the cash shop to make that AFK grind more convenient and efficient. Ugly user interfaces. Not much to be said here, but I hate MMOs where half of the screen is UI, and there's so many different UI windows popping up that I need to interact with that I end up getting lost in menus.
I played some MMOs that they just look like mobile games, and that's crazy. Bro, your UI has to look decent. Not the greatest, but decent.
Personally, I like having a nice, clean, minimal user interface with a lot of functionality for customization, especially if I'm playing an MMO with good graphics. A good UI will display information clearly, not invent pointless systems that don't need to exist in which you purely interact with it via a UI menu, and be easy to navigate. A bad UI will have multiple pop-ups as soon as you log into the game, an incoherent theme with different colours and animations that distract you from the gameplay, very little customization, no option to hide the UI for screenshots, as well as getting in the way of gameplay, such as not being able to move your character whilst opening the inventory or map. Transmog. This is a bit of a hot take, but I kinda miss the days of when transmog wasn't a thing in MMOs.
Yes!
Now, I don't actually...
I was thinking that he was going to say that he No, transmog, no, I don't want transmog in games.
I hate transmog, but there's definitely pros and cons to its existence.
Exactly.
Pros: collecting different gear sets from old content keeps that content somewhat relevant in terms of rewards. Transmog as a whole adds content to an MMO. It's horizontal progression, and making different transmog sets is fun. Cons: nowadays you can't look at a player in an MMO and get an accurate idea of how strong they are purely based off appearance. The existence of transmog also devalues the feeling of getting...
I can look at level 10, I can look better than a level 70, which is crazy.
a cool new piece of endgame loot. You're basically only interested in the stats, unless it just happens to match one of your transmog sets. MMOs with transmog also typically have cosmetic cash shops where you can just pay to look cool regardless of your level, which creates an incentive for devs to make the coolest looking armor be tied to cash shop purchase, rather than being earned in-game. When it comes to transmog, I'm 50-50. On one hand, I really enjoy running old content and collecting skins. On the other hand, I think it's really cool that in Classic WoW I can just look at another player and instantly see what gear they have without having to.
But in Classic WoW, I don't know how they did it, but even if you have like different pieces of gear from different places, they still look okay together. Right now, if you have different pieces of gear from different sets, let's say in Dragonflight, you look like a fucking Christmas tree. I don't know how
to inspect them. At this point, transmog isn't something that you can really take away from MMOs, and it's definitely in the devs' best interest to keep selling skins, with most players being okay with this. But that's it for this video, obviously a highly subjective one. It is titled Things I Hate About MMORPGs, so I don't expect everyone to agree with
most of the things. I agree with him. Maybe the transmog I agree, but the one with the cash shops I agree with the tokens, but I don't know, if you work 12 hours a day and you try to so just to farm gold and you sell it, I mean, that's, I don't know, it can help. Let's put it like this, it can help a lot of people from not poorer countries but less developed countries to make some money that they wouldn't get it any other way. So yeah, I'm not against that 100%, let's say, even though it's kind of the same thing if you think about it, like you still buy gold with real money, right? Yeah, but it's harder to find things like that. Well, I don't know. Anyway, this was an awesome video actually. Go to Lazy Peon, subscribe to him, like the video. Really nice video. All the points he made were actually very good. So yeah.